I want an end. I want the hostages released.
Recognition needs to be seen, and so it's part of that.
Guardi, io personalmente continuo a considerare che
Have you ever wondered why some countries recognize Palestine as a state, while others don't? And more importantly, what difference does this recognition really make? Let's break it down. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict has been one of the most contentious issues in global politics for decades. At its heart lies a simple but profound question: should Palestine be recognized as an independent state alongside Israel? Today, over 140 of the 193 United Nations member states recognize Palestine as a sovereign state. This includes countries across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Recently, even some European nations have taken steps in that direction. For these countries, recognition is seen as an act of justice, acknowledging the Palestinians' right to self-determination and strengthening their voice in international forums. But recognition doesn't come without consequences. Nations that officially recognize Palestine often face diplomatic tensions with Israel and its closest allies, particularly the United States. For example, when some European parliaments passed motions supporting Palestinian statehood, Israel quickly criticized those moves, warning that it would complicate peace talks. Now, you might ask, does recognition actually change anything on the ground? The answer is both yes and no. On one hand, recognition gives Palestine greater legitimacy in the eyes of the world. It allows Palestinian representatives to participate in international organizations, sign treaties, and bring issues before global bodies like the International Criminal Court. In fact, Palestine's recognition by the UN General Assembly in 2012 as a non-member observer state opened doors for more international engagement. On the other hand, recognition by foreign governments doesn't automatically solve the everyday realities faced by Palestinians. Issues such as settlement expansion, restrictions on movement, and clashes in Gaza and the West Bank continue regardless of diplomatic moves abroad. For Palestinians, recognition feels like a moral victory, but without parallel action on the ground, the situation largely remains the same. For Israel, widespread recognition of Palestine is seen as a threat to its negotiating position. Israeli leaders argue that such steps bypass direct peace talks and put additional pressure on them in international courts and forums. For the United States, which remains Israel's strongest ally, recognition by more nations complicates Washington's ability to control the peace process. So, what's the bigger picture? Recognition of Palestine signals a shift in global opinion. More nations, especially in the global south, see the conflict not just as a regional issue, but as a matter of human rights and international law. It also highlights growing frustration with stalled peace talks and the lack of a two-state solution. The impact is therefore symbolic, diplomatic, and political. Symbolic, because it validates the Palestinian cause. Diplomatic, because it changes how international organizations interact with Palestinian representatives. And political, because it puts Israel and its allies under greater scrutiny in world opinion. Whether this leads to real change depends on more than recognition. It depends on negotiations, compromises, and eventually, mutual acceptance. Until then, every new country that recognizes Palestine adds another piece to the puzzle of one of the world's most enduring conflicts. So the next time you hear that a nation has recognized Palestine, remember, it's not just about diplomacy. It's about shaping narratives, applying pressure, and keeping alive the vision of a two-state solution, even if that vision still feels far from reality. Thanks for watching. If you found this video insightful, please consider to like the video and subscribe the channel for such upcoming videos on geopolitics affecting the global orders each days.